Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. Today's topic is, what is your lowest hanging fruit? Or what is your low hanging fruit, as I say. So if you've ever asked the question, where do I start? What can I sell? What would people pay me for? Then you're going to want to listen to this episode. First of all, just want to make sure you have a copy of my book, Streams of Income. You can grab it at streamsofincomeradio.com, along with all the show notes. Every link that's ever mentioned on this show is listed on that webpage, streamsofincomeradio.com. This is episode number 29, and we're calling this, What is Your Low-Hanging Fruit? And it's a question I ask a lot of folks. Now, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing an Amazon business, an online business, or you're a coach or whatever, if you're an expert, you're more advanced, this still applies for you. I want to get your wheels turning. Start thinking of that gold that might be right under your nose, or sometimes, as we say, diamonds in your own backyard. There's gold right under you, possibly, and I want to help you see that. If you're just starting out, a lot of times you wonder, where should I start? What should I sell? If selling an online or doing an online business is where you're going to go, then a lot of times people ask me, where do I start? What do I sell? Well, this episode is going to be very helpful for you. And so as you see, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm holding an apple. And so what is your low-hanging fruit? Let's jump into it. So guys, there are so many ways to get started. And if you're advanced and you've already been doing this, just keep listening, because this will apply to you. There's so many ways to get started, but one easy place to start is, what is your low-hanging fruit? Meaning, what is right underneath your nose? And you may not even realize it. You may not even see it. It may be something that is obvious to others, not obvious to you, because you're just so used to it. So let me give you just a quick story, and you'll see what I mean by this. So I have a friend at church that invited me to lunch a few years ago and was asking me about my business, specifically Amazon, because he was interested in getting into it. And so I went to lunch with him, and I started asking him about his job, and he is in the steel industry. So he works for a steel company. I believe he's a salesman. And so he goes around to different companies and sells steel. And so that was very interesting to me, because that's not something I'm very familiar with. I don't know much about the steel industry at all, but he does. And so guys, that would be his low-hanging fruit. So you're wondering, how in the world would he sell that online? Well, here's what I suggested. Is he told me that he has access to scrap steel very cheaply, very inexpensive scrap steel. And he has a friend that can then take that steel and pretty much turn it into whatever needed to be turned into. And so he told me, like, for example, sheet metal. Well, I thought, that's interesting. That's something that the regular person might use. Now, not many people are going to buy big, huge rolls of steel. They're not building buildings or anything like that. The regular Amazon customer, though, might need sheet metal or something like that that's smaller. So right then and there, at our lunch, I opened up the Amazon seller app and just started searching for sheet metal on Amazon. And we found these 12 by 12 inches by 12 inches. So square foot sheets of steel at a price that were more than enough for him to make a profit on. Because remember, he got the scrap steel at a great deal, and then was able to have a friend be able to turn it into the sheet metal for him. So that was his low-hanging fruit. It was right underneath him, not something that he even thought about before. But here's what makes it unique and so special, is that I never ever would have thought, hey, you know what? Let's sell sheet metal on Amazon. That's just not even not a thought that it would have ever even crossed my mind. But for him, it was so easy to access, and it's something right underneath his nose. And he didn't think about it either until I told him about it. But what's other cool thing about it is this: because I never would have thought about it, or even if I did think about it, the barrier to entry for that would be much higher for me. I don't have any idea where to go, how to find that scrap metal, who to find, who to get it to turn it into the sheet metal sheets that would be needed to sell on Amazon, the packaging, all that stuff that that would be a hurdle to me is not a hurdle to him. He already has those contacts. He already has just everything in place to make that happen. So guys, what is your low hanging fruit? So I'll give you some more examples. I live here in Texas, and Texas is known for many things, Tex-Mex food and things like that, but barbecue sauce, barbecue. And so we have all types of people here and all types of restaurants that serve barbecue. Some have their own signature barbecue sauce. So that might be a low hanging piece of fruit for somebody here in Texas. So let's say that I live in Texas for all my life. I've only been here 11 years, born and raised in Indiana. But let's say I lived in Texas all my life and then moved to Indiana. And let's say I miss my, signature Texas barbecue sauce, and I just can't get it in the grocery stores. I can't find it up in Indiana. Well, where am I going to go look for that? Well, I'm probably going to go online. I'm going to look and see if that, that restaurant or that company sells it on their site. If not, I'm going to check Amazon, and I'm going to look for it online. You have an opportunity to serve a need for people like that in particularly the food industry. So what, and I'm going to ask you, start thinking some questions as I'm talking through this. I want you to be thinking just in the back of your mind, what is unique to me, what's unique to my area. So as I give some examples here, just be thinking about yourself, thinking about how this could apply to you. So I'm going to try to go a little bit slow so your brain can be moving at the same time as you're listening to me. So what is unique to your area? So for example, like in Michigan, they're known for fruit like cherries. And I think I've picked blueberries in Michigan before. So I'm sure that, if I'm from Michigan and I moved away from there, I might miss, my signature blueberry jam or something like that. Could you, because you live there, have easier access to something like that than I would here in Texas? Or if you live in an area that, for example, I know people in my audience that private label things that they grow. So I know somebody in particular that sells things that are in their backyard, leaves and acorns that fall to the ground and pine cones. And, that may be, for her, she doesn't want them. They pile up in her yard. She wants to get rid of them. But there's other people on the other side of the country that would gladly pay for those, and in fact will use them for decoration. And you can't go in your backyard in some certain areas of the country and find these things. You find other things that might be unique. But so Amazon or an online store is a perfect place to sell things that might be right in your backyard. At Christmas time, I remember going into stores and seeing bags of pine cones that were scented with cinnamon that people could purchase and use as decor around their home. So if you live in an area that pine cones just fall naturally, you could have a business. I know there's people that do all types of things, taking scrap wood and taking trees and cutting them down and making the little slices that people might use for coasters or decorations. Or just do a search on Amazon for craft supplies and things that people might use that are outdoorsy type things that just maybe right underneath your nose, right in your own backyard, maybe something that you're growing and not even wanting to grow, that people would gladly take off your hands. So think about that. Think about maybe you are in a industry that is unique, or maybe not even so unique. It's just different, different than all the other people who are out there trying to sell. So for example, let's say that you're a doctor, or do you know a doctor? Do you know somebody who works for a doctor? So here's where I'm going with this. I would imagine that doctors have access to maybe some wholesale suppliers that most folks like me wouldn't have access to, because I'm not a doctor, because I don't work for a doctor's office. So let's say that, I know that there's going to be things like EKG machines and, CAT scan machines and all that. Of course, that's not going to be something that you would sell online. But think about smaller stuff. Think about things that are, that might be with home healthcare related things, wheelchairs. Think about things that people might use to help somebody get into a bathtub if they're handicapped, or just anything that maybe masks, or just totally thinking out loud here, guys. It could be so many different things that, bedpans that people might use at home that you could go online and find, and it'd be a normal purchase for a homeowner that maybe they're caring for a loved one. And if you are a doctor, you work for a doctor, you probably have access to home healthcare type items at a discount compared to what the public could get them at. So think about that type of stuff. Maybe you're in industry, maybe you're not a doctor, but who sells to you? What vendors do you use? If you work for a company, what supplies do you buy as a company? Are there any supplies that you could then turn around and sell online? With your wholesale contacts that you have at the job that you're at, could you buy those items and sell those online? You already have the contacts. Okay, so another one, maybe let's say you're a contractor, you build homes. Maybe you have deals with some of these big box stores like Lowe's or Home Depot, or maybe you have smaller, smaller vendors you work with that aren't so well known, that you have accounts with, that you could sell their products online. Let's say that you are an electrical contractor or an HVAC contractor. Well, certainly you have an advantage because some of those niches are very, what we'd say, boring niches, but that stuff sells. You would know what sells. You would know what a regular homeowner might buy off of Amazon, from the things you have access to. Look through the supplier catalogs that you have. If you're at a job that you buy things from a wholesale company, or if you have salesmen come into your office and your office buys things from certain companies, could you buy those things at your company discount? Could you, if you've already built a relationship with a salesperson, could you then buy those things personally? Now, don't do anything that's going to get you in trouble at work or anything, but if you have those contacts already, most wholesale companies don't care who buys it. They don't care pretty much after you buy it what you do with it. So just ask, hey, we already got this relationship. My company buys, and make sure it's okay with your company too. But could I buy and sell your stuff online? Quite possibly the answer is yes. And you got a business already right there. You have easy access to something, especially if it's something that general public is just not thinking about, or the general online seller's not thinking about, or doesn't have access to, or not easy access to. So anything that's just like, very technical or industrial, there's a category in Amazon called industrial and scientific. And those things are kind of boring products at times, but they're very niche products, and they're things that sell really well. So are you in any industries where you have access to supplier catalogs, wholesale companies where you could purchase things? Maybe you have access to cheap car parts, or you can work directly with car manufacturers, and maybe there's things that are generic, not like something that is specific to one car maybe, but maybe something more like license plate holders, or who knows. Just, you guys get what I'm saying, is things that you have access to that maybe not everybody does. I don't know if teachers have access to certain wholesale companies because you're a teacher. I know a lot of companies give teachers discounts on things. So if you're a teacher, look through those companies you have access to, those suppliers that you have access to, that you're buying things for your classroom. Maybe you can buy things and sell them online as well. Farmers have all these specialized equipment. Again, we're not talking about huge tractors, but are there small little things that go on a tractor that could be sold on Amazon, that could be sold online, that most people just don't know about? So what you guys would do is, if you start looking at some of these ideas, start looking at catalogs that you have access to, companies you have access to, look at their product and just do a comparison. So start typing in those names, those brand names. Brand names would probably be a great place to start. Find a brand name of something that you maybe already buy for your current job, and you're trying to do some research, and you just take that brand name and then put it into Amazon and see, are the prices way higher on Amazon than you can buy them for? Well, if they are, then you have an opportunity. And those would be things that most people wouldn't even think of. So what if nothing has come to mind so far? You don't work at a job like that. You don't have some specialty knowledge or know anybody like that. Well, I'm sure you probably do know people. Just think about the people that you come in contact with all the time. Think about your handyman that comes to your home, the contractor you worked with when you built your home. Just, do you know doctors? Do you know farmers? Do you know anybody that has something kind of specific that you could build a relationship with? So you could simply just go to somebody who might have those contacts and say, you have that connection. I sell on Amazon, I sell online. I'll be that person. You just help me make that connection. You'll get a small percentage. If they can just help you make that connection, that's worth a lot to you. And so you could, pay them 10% of profits or whatever. Maybe they go in with you on a bigger scale, but you just need that person to help make that connection. So they could buy the products and then you sell them and you guys split the profits in some way. So what if none of this has jogged your brain? Nothing comes to mind for you. Well, what area do you live in? Think about just do a search for your city and maybe the term wholesale or wholesaler. So I live in the Dallas area, and that's a bigger area, but I might say Dallas Wholesale Company or Dallas Wholesale. Google your or wholesale companies Dallas. So take like the wholesale company and then put your city in, or manufacturer. It's like Dallas manufacturer Dallas. See what is right in your area. If you have somebody that's already making things here, you might just be able to walk right in there and say, hey, you know what? I know how to sell things online. That's going to perk somebody's interest. Guys, these people who make things, who are wholesale companies, they don't necessarily know how to sell this stuff. Their job, their thing is making it. And then they rely on sales reps or wholesale, a manufacturer might rely on a wholesale company to sell it. They might rely on a sales rep to sell it. So you coming in there and saying, I can bring you business, I want to buy stuff from you, they're going to be all ears. They want to do business. They want to make money. And so if you can figure out some way to partner with them, or maybe they'll just sell directly to you and you sell online, or if you want to open up an Amazon account for them and you manage it, you do all the work and they just supply the products, that would be an opportunity where you would have zero out of pocket. You would just go to a company who is already making these products and saying, I will start and run an Amazon business for you. All you have to do is keep things in stock. I'll manage it. I'll tell you when to send more in. That would be a situation then where you would have zero inventory. It's their inventory. It's their Amazon account. And then you would just get a percentage of sales. There are people that are doing this and make a full-time income. If you are good at making those connections, building relationships with those businesses, there's just so much business out there. You could never, if you didn't want to, you would never have to sell a single product online that's yours. You would never have to have your own Amazon account. If you are good at making those relationships, then there is business for you. I was talking to somebody just yesterday who is very good at making connections with people. He's just very genuine, authentic, not in sales, but would be great in sales. So I was telling him that if he wanted to do this, that a perfect situation for him might be to be the person that is the front man. So find somebody to partner with that knows this Amazon stuff. He's thinking about selling on Amazon on his own. But I told him, you know what, you might be better at just making connections, at getting business. So I told him about this partnering type of business where he could go to businesses who already have products that would like to sell online. And in fact, he's talking to one that is a potential for him. And he's thinking about managing their Amazon account for him. And I told him, well, if you didn't want to mess with and learning all of that, I can guarantee you that I can find somebody in my audience that would be glad to partner with you and to be the person on the back end running all the stuff. Somebody who's already been an Amazon seller for a while that knows what they're doing. You guys could be a perfect partnership. Somebody that doesn't want to, be out in the front getting the business, because that's probably the more challenging, intimidating part for most folks, is getting that business, walking into a business, calling a business, and start making that pitch. So I told him, you'd be perfect for that role, making that pitch, going into a business, and I can help you find somebody in the back end to actually run that account for them. So guys, if you are friendly, if picking up the phone doesn't bother you, if walking into a business does not bother you at all, there are plenty of people that need help, that want to sell products. Think about all these mom and pop shops that might be in your area that are struggling, that know they need to be online, that know they need to have an internet presence, that know they need to be on Facebook or Instagram, but just don't know what they're doing. They're focused on what they do best, and they can't think about anything beyond what their store or what they do. They need your help, and there's an opportunity for you to partner with them in a win-win situation. Again, you could start up an Amazon account for them. They supply the products, you oversee all of it and get a percentage of the sales. It's a perfect model for somebody who is just very outgoing, that is just good at making those connections. So what are those businesses around you? Who needs your help? Drive through an industrial area of your town and just look around. Look at the names on the signs. What does that company make? What does this company make? What does this company do? Go back and research and see what they do. And then pick up the phone and call them, or walk into their office and say, hey, I'm an expert at selling online. And don't let that stop you. If you think, you've only been listening to this podcast for a few weeks and you just started the Proven Amazon course last week, that you're not an expert. Well, you know more than 98% of the people in this whole world about how to sell online, even if you just started. So have the confidence, walk in there. You have a whole community backing you up of people who are glad to help you out, especially you get into one of my groups or the My Silent Team Facebook community. I'll post a link to that in the show notes. You can ask questions of people anytime and get an answer pretty much 24/7. So there are opportunities for you. You are an expert. Just do the work. There's so many businesses out there that need that help. So what is local to you? What businesses are local to you? If you don't want to drive around or can't do that for whatever reason, get online, Google your state, your city, your area, and wholesale company, words like manufacturer, and see what comes up. What do they sell? What do they do? They need your help. So guys, what is your low-hanging fruit? This is the question a lot of people ask me, as far as they don't ask me what's their low-hanging fruit, but they say, where do I start? What can I sell? What would people pay me for? And then I start asking them questions like what I've just gone through right here on this episode, which is what's right around you? What's right underneath your nose? Who do you know? Where do you work? Where do your friends and family work? Start thinking about, especially if you're going into selling physical products, the people you know, where do they work? What products do they make? What products do they sell? What products do they have access to, either through a wholesale company that's selling to them? You have those connections already. That would be your low-hanging fruit. That would be something that you already have access to. For example, when I got started, we sold furniture online. We sold furniture on Craigslist. Now, I knew nothing about furniture, but the reason we got into furniture was because my mother-in-law and my wife, when I moved from Indiana to Texas, they already had the wholesale contact. They already had that wholesale contact here in the area, and they were selling it on Craigslist already. So all I had to do was just kind of plug myself right into their business. They were doing it very, very part-time, and I just went in and just cranked it up and started selling a lot more by the grace of God. But that was my low-hanging fruit. It wasn't that I loved furniture or knew anything about furniture. It was that connection was already made. They already had that relationship with that company. And so I didn't have to do anything. So what is that for you? What do you have access to that might be unique to you? And until this episode, you might not even realize it's unique. But it is. If it's, especially it's something that is some type of specialty job, or just a little bit different that not everybody, would be able to get to. If it's a wholesale company that, you have access to because you work at this place, that would be a place that would be, I would pick up the phone and they would just hang up on me because they don't do business with people who aren't in the trade. So I know this is starting to give you guys some ideas of where you could start. If physical products is not your thing and you're going a different direction and you want to write a book or create a course, you want to take something you're passionate about and turn it into an income. Well, a lot of people ask me, well, what knowledge do I have? Where do I start there? Well, what do people ask you about already? What are you passionate about talking about? What gives you life when you talk about it? When you talk to somebody about this subject, you're not exhausted after it. You're energized. You're excited about it. You can't stop talking about it. What's that thing? That's probably the thing you should start. That's probably the place that you should go. That's probably where you should start heading down, at least, and start doing some research on that. Find communities around that topic. Find communities, especially on Facebook. Go to Facebook groups. If your passion is, RVing, find RV Facebook groups. Start interacting with them. What questions do they have? Where are people? What do people need? What needs are there? What problems do they have? What problems do they have that you can solve specifically? Start just interacting, answering questions. You'll see people's needs, and it will tell you pretty much exactly by being involved in those groups. You'll know what you need to do. You'll know that, hey, everybody that is in this RV group, they are stuck with, they don't know which model to choose. Well, let's say that you're just really good at deciding, if you have this need, then you should probably go with this model. There's so many products out there that you could create, services that you could create based on people's needs. So just look at their issues, start answering questions in there, become known as the expert in that niche. And then you can create your course, write your book, do your podcast. So find the need first, find the needs that you can solve, and just go in there and solve them, guys. Start with those things that start with those things that you're passionate about. If that's the top, if you're wanting to go into a business where you want to take something that you love to do and turn it into income, start with that one thing. And if you're not sure exactly what that is, maybe you have 2 or 3 different ones that you really know well, you're passionate about. Pick one. Just start going down that route. With action will come clarity. You'll figure out, it's going to be pretty much come down to the one that you know the most about that also has the need. So if you find a group of people who, is also passionate about that, but there's really not a need there, not a problem that you can solve, that's probably not it. Find the thing where it's basically where your passions and the world's needs collide together, where they come together. That would be like your sweet spot where you can create an income from it. So guys, I hope this has been helpful. This is a question I get a lot about, where do I start? What do I do? And even for you guys that are more advanced, especially if you're selling online and you're already doing big numbers, there's probably gold right in your backyard that you didn't even realize it. And I hope that this episode has helped you, start to think through that, make those connections. If you're doing wholesale, make those wholesale calls, get that business, especially if it's local. It's not something that everybody that's selling online is already doing or even knows about. You'll have that advantage because you can walk right in there and build that relationship. So guys, I hope this is helpful. Hope this served you well, and we will see you in the next episode.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.